Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Cardoso's Coaching Education webinar. If it's the first time that you are here, welcome. If not, welcome back. The idea of this Coach Education webinars is to share, to start to create a community, and to show availability for everyone that has interest in what we are doing. My name is Bruno Pereira. I'm the new technical director of Cardoso. I'm responsible for player development and all the things that relate to coach education, not from the license standpoint, but from the continuous education of the coaches. Is something that I'll be taking part of, as well as ODP and the coaching clinics, all of that. The ODP camps for this summer, they are already open. You can register already, so it's super easy to find on our website where to go. We just need to go for the ODP camps. There's a lot of choices for you. So even if you are not part of the ODP groups, you can still have access to our camps, and you can choose which one is better for you. Safe sport is something that is very important to be compliant. You need to renew it every year, and please make sure that you do so, because if not, you will not be able to be on the fields coaching your teams. This part of the website now just changed, so you are able to, as a club, request Cardoso to come and help on the referee side, obviously, on the competitive licenses. If you want to take a D course or a C course, you can approach us for that, and also on the recreational coaching clinics. You can request, and you will be able to almost tailor-made a clinic into the needs of your coaches. Imagine that, for example, you have only one field to train in, you have a lot of teams at the same time. We can go and help you plan sessions accordingly to the spaces that you have and the resources that you have. If you would like to be referee and you don't know how to, this is a slide for you. You can use the QR code and go from there. Our referee program is very, very strong. They're very good in what they do. So if being a referee is something that you would like to try, go ahead. We have very good people to work with you. Next week, I will be in San Diego for a coaching clinic. Will be, well, the first one that we are going to be able to do it in 2 days. So I'm very excited about this. Hopefully the coaches will have a good experience and they will take something home with them from this. Also, obviously, the kids that will participate will be able to have a different day, a different morning in their weekend, trying tasks that most likely they will be new to them. So feel free to participate if you are nearby. And now going to our guest today, Edgar. I wanted to say thank you for being here first, and at the same time acknowledge your skills in terms of a professional in soccer or in football, how we say it at home. But more than that, acknowledge you as a person, because it's not easy to be a professional in this sport, and it's not easy to find amazing persons working in this sport. And I learned a lot from you already. You showed me many things. One of the things that I will take forever with me is how you can use humor while you do your things, and you can be super serious on 1 minute and use humor on the other one to help people to go where they need to go. At the same time, on a very personal side, because of who you are and the decisions you take in life. You already changed my life when you helped to open the doors for me in my previous job, and I wouldn't be where I am today if it was not for you, and I would not be who I am today if it wasn't for you. So thank you very much.
Hello. Okay, sorry.
Oh yeah, you are there. I was going to say, well, now it's the time that we start talking. I will take this next 5 minutes with a few questions to help to introduce you and to help people to understand who you are and where you're coming from and how you arrived where you are right now. Obviously, it will be on your first slides. You coached in Sport Lisboa in Benfica, one of the biggest clubs in the world. For some, the biggest club in the world. How did it happen? How did you arrive? And what roles did you have in Benfica?
Okay, I cannot start answering directly your question before saying thank you. Thank you for your words. Thank you also for your invitation. I think the idea pretty much today will be to share my beliefs, information that I have collected in different places, and then what I'm trying or what I am applying nowadays in Shakhtar. But first of all, going directly to your question, I was 18 years old. I was still playing football. I started university, and on the first days of university, I was doing some copies from a book, and I have seen in this copies store an advertisement to ask people that would be interested to be intern or to do internships in Benfica Soccer School. Something that I never thought to do before, but I felt it curious and I decided to try. So started like this. I enter in contact with Benfica Soccer Schools. They invite me to come to talk a little bit, and I started on that immediately on that day with 18 years old.
And how long were you in Benfica?
For 12 years.
It's a lifetime for many. And yeah. What were your roles in Benfica? Which kind of roles did you have? And the last question about Benfica would be, which part of you is still from Benfica? What I mean is, what did you take from those lessons that are until today part of who you are and how you do your things?
Okay, so first question, I was more involved with age groups from under 7 to under 9. We were calling to these groups the selection groups. Benfica Soccer School, the main one in the Benfica Stadium, they had more than 1,000 students, and from each age group, the coordinator was selecting the best boys from each class, and he was putting them all together in the same group. So we were calling to these groups the selections. And I started being assistant coach in one of these selections. For 2 seasons, I was working in this position as an assistant coach. After that, I became head coach of these groups, and pretty much what we were doing were following the same group for 3 years in a row. So under 7, under 8, under 9, delivering this group to another department of the club, the specialization, the competition, and then going back and starting a new generation again for 3 years. My takeaways from Benfica, clearly coach intervention on pitch and off the pitch, the relation with the players, the quality of the feedback, and the methodology that were being used back in my time in Benfica. I can say that 60-70% of, I wouldn't say the exercises, but the idea behind the exercises, the intensity, the organization, the feedback, the questions, I took it from there, and I'm still using it.
I feel the same way. Sometimes it's not so much what you do, is how you do what you do that makes it who you are, and it's your identity. And I see a lot of what was happening in those days still present today. So
actually, the coordinator on our time there is still the same coordinator, and when he's delivering some conferences, he's always joking with me. I already left 9 years ago, but even nowadays he keeps joking with me, because when I arrived with 18 years old, I was very ashamed to speak with the players. I was ashamed of the parents. There were a lot of parents around the field. But yes, he was able to push for me, to have time for me, to teach me, to try me, to take me out of my comfort zone. And I'm very thankful, of course, for his for the way he teach me and for all the knowledge that he shared.
After this period, after these 12 years in Benfica, you moved to Qatar to work in Aspire Academy. How was that time? How long were you there for? And how was your journey in Aspire?
So during my 12 years in Benfica, I always had the dream to work with the older players, because this was exactly what I wanted to do, to work with older players. It was not possible. There were some seasons, there were some talks, then nothing happened, and then appeared the possibility to join Aspire, to move to Qatar, to do basically the same. So to coach under 9, of course, with different conditions, fantastic facilities, technology, everything that we can imagine Aspire had. I kept fighting for my dream, and it came true. It came true because after 8 or 9 months working with under 9, I was invited to move directly to under 18. That was the oldest team of Aspire Academy, to be an assistant coach. And then during my time there, that was 6 years, I have coached under 14 as head coach, under 15 head coach, and then I had also the possibility and the opportunity to join QFA, so Qatar Football Association, as a head assistant coach of under 21 first, and then the continuity of this project under 21, that they became then under 23. They call it the Olympic team, or the Olympic project. So there was a moment in my life that was more than, I would say, around 2 years, that I was working simultaneously with Aspire and with the national team of Qatar.
Well, in the end, that period also finished, and the question would be the same for you. What are your takeaways from your time in Aspire?
I would say that I had the privilege to work in top facilities, surrounded by amazing professionals from different areas, not only football coaches, but strength and conditioning, scientists, nutritionists, biomechanics. So fantastic professionals. The level of equipment was unbelievable. So latest technology was available in Aspire. So this is something that I took with me, the privilege that I had to work in these conditions. Also, I think I bring also with me how to work with these ages, how to approach players, how to work with players, taking in account the psychological side of the player and the person. So I think Aspire was a fantastic place to understand how kids think, how they react, strategies. So I think this is one of the main takeaways also from Aspire.
And well, after this, the time to join Shakhtar came. But this I will stop sharing my screen so that you can share yours.
Okay.
And from now on, if anyone has questions about anything that comes up, please use the chat to ask those questions, and when it looks appropriate, we'll share those. We'll try to answer those questions, anyways.
Bruno,
And I can see your screen if you're.
Yes, this was exactly my question. Good anticipation, important in football. Huh? I was when I was in Aspire and that project with the national team finished, I went back full time to Aspire. Probably not everyone knows, but in Aspire you don't compete officially. So Aspire works pretty much as national teams. Why? Because they have the power given from the government to go to all the clubs in the country and to select the best players from each club. So if you can select the best players from each club, at the end of the day, the players that are in Aspire are the national teams. Anyway, and because we were not competing officially, I was missing a little bit the competition. Competition for me is important. That moment on the weekends where you can see if your work during the previous weeks had impact on the players, the good things, the things not so good, and then a new week coming, starting focus on what we have done not so good, trying to improve players and the team based in our weaknesses and working points. So I was missing a lot. Competition, official competition. That's why it was easy for me to decide to leave that beautiful country, that fantastic facilities, and move to Ukraine, completely unknown country for me. The only thing I knew about Ukraine was that the winter was very cold. So, and I went together with my family. I went to Ukraine. I was invited by the head of scouting of Shakhtar on that moment, who worked with me before in Benfica. And it's a special club. Shakhtar is a special club. Was one of the reasons that made me move. Why special? I will explain now in my presentation. Can I go forward, Bruno? You want?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's impossible to speak about my moment without sharing with you the moment that our club is living, for obvious reasons. The name of the club is Shakhtar Donetsk. Donetsk is a city on the east part of Ukraine, so very close to the border with Russia. And as everyone knows, there is a conflict. There is not a conflict, there is a war. So I want to share a little bit how has been the last months, years for our club. Pretty much to sum up what we talked before, the main places where I worked before. I'm sharing with you some pictures from Donetsk. So on the top left, picture from our stadium, Donbass Arena. On the left corner, you see a picture also from the stadium, but around the stadium was just unbelievable. It was built for the Euro 2012, organized by Ukraine together with Poland. And the picture more on the right side is part of our academy. for the first team and also for the younger age groups. This was like this until 2014. For the majority of the people think that the war started 1 year ago. This is not true. This political conflict started back in 2014. Russia invaded, of course, the cities more close to the border. And here you can see also some pictures from already 2014 that forced the club to move and to take a decision. And the decision was or to just finish the club or to bring the club to another city. The decision was the second one. Some more pictures. So the key ways to go from Donetsk to Ukraine were completely destroyed. So on the background, you can see a bridge. So they destroyed all the bridges that were given access from Donetsk to Ukraine. They planted mines in the fields to avoid that people could run away from Donetsk directly to Ukraine. And exactly in the center, on the top center, you see pictures from the airport completely destroyed as well. So the club moved to Kiev. Kiev is the capital of Ukraine, but is also the city where our biggest rival is. So Dynamo Kiev, exactly like the name says, is from Kiev. So it was not easy for us in the beginning, but we were there for since 2014 until the moment that the war started last year. So when I had the first approach from Shakhtar, I was okay. I was okay in Qatar. I was happy in Qatar and in Aspire. So after the first approach, of course, I needed to ask, where do you see me doing what, and what do you expect from me if I move to Shakhtar? So I made this print screen already more than 3 years ago, and the answer was very simple. Look at the first team and try to apply the same ideas, same style, same philosophy in all the age groups of the academy. Back to our situation at the moment, since the war started, we are away from Donetsk already for 10 years. We are now located in different places. So we have teams in Croatia. So from under 12 to under 15, we have 85 players who are in Croatia, so in Split. Also in Kiev, we have our under 17 and under 19. And then I mentioned here Lviv and Warsaw, because Lviv is our home in this moment for the home games of the championship. Yes, probably you are surprised, but the national championship and the cup have been played in Ukrainian territory, even with the war. So we are using Lviv Arena. Why Lviv? Because it's strategically located. Lviv is very close to the border with Poland, so west of Ukraine. And Warsaw is a key place also for us because Shakhtar is playing European competitions, and European games cannot be played in Ukraine. So every time we had European games, Champions League first, and then Europa League, we were crossing the border, going to Poland to play our home games for the international competition. Looking in deep to our academy, our youngest generation is under 12, our oldest is under 19. We have around 150 players in total, and what we provide to all the players is accommodation, school, and training, of course. Back in Kiev before the war, all the players of the academy, they were staying with us in our facilities. We didn't have one single player that was coming only in the afternoon or in the morning to train and going back home to sleep and attending his own school. So I pushed the club to give the conditions for us to accommodate everyone. So all the boys, they were going together to the school. Our under 13 generation, for example, they are attending grade 7 or 8, and the school with which we have agreement, they have one class from each grade dedicated only to Shakhtar players. So grade 8, for example, to under 13, and our team under 13, they go in the morning all together to the school. At lunchtime, they go back to our hotel to have lunch and then to train. I mentioned before that the club is special, and for me is really special. And now I will explain why I feel the club is special. Because in terms of philosophy, the philosophy doesn't belong to the coach of the first team. The philosophy belongs to the club. And this is like this since our president, since he's the president of the club. It's already 25 years. It's a guy that loves football. He loves offensive football. And every time we change coach for different reasons, if we just fire the coach or if the coach decide to move to another club, of course that the new coach is chosen based in his skills, based in previous works in another clubs, delivering, applying and doing very similar styles and philosophy. So looking back to the last coaches we had Lucescu, Mircea Lucescu for 11 years. When Lucescu decided to leave, Shakhtar hired a Portuguese coach, Paulo Fonseca, and he was hired exactly to keep the same style. Fonseca left to AS Roma, and another Portuguese coach came, Luís Castro, that is now in Botafogo in Brazil, to keep doing again the same style. Then De Zerbi, who after the war moved also to Brighton. So the idea doesn't belong to the coach. This is good for me at the academy level. At the same time, it's pressure. Why is good? It's good because I don't need to adapt my way, my ideas every time we change coach in the first team. Let me give you a practical example. We have one coach that arrives and he decides to play in 4-4-2. And he tells me, Edgar, all the teams in the academy need to play in 4-4-2. And we defend man marking. Okay, and Edgar needs to do the same in the academy. But the coach is losing the first games, and after 2 months we change a coach. And the guy came in, instead of 4-4-2, he plays in 4-3-3, and instead of man marking, we defend in zone. And then Edgar, after 2 months, need to change. So that's why this is the positive point. The pressure is that the philosophy and the style is so clear that it's easy to identify when some of our teams is going a little bit out, or if the performance is not satisfactory. So pretty much, and going a little more deep in the philosophy, we love to have the ball, and more than to have the ball, we need to feel comfortable with the ball. Because we can just say that we love to have the ball, yeah, but to have the ball a lot of time, you need to feel comfortable with the ball. How we do this? Of course, we need to choose key exercises with key feedbacks during training for players to feel comfortable. And when we speak about players, I don't mean only fullbacks or wingers or striker. No, even goalkeeper and center backs, they need to feel comfortable with the ball in Shakhtar. We want to have creativity and freedom, and this creativity and freedom is not only individual, but also collective. We want to be unpredictable. I think, Bruno, this word for you is very familiar, to be unpredictable, back in our times in
Yes, sir. This is the kind of situations that if we were live in an auditorium and all the people watching, instead of being comfortably home in their seats, if they would be near us, one of us could show them exactly what unpredictable means.
Exactly. And it's not nice. It's nice for the other that will be looking, they will be laughing. But yes. So what I mean with unpredictable I want to create in my opponents a feeling that they don't know what we are going to do with the ball. So the player with the ball, he needs to have tools and skills to go in 1-against-1 situations, to use different feints and tricks, but not only to the right or only to the left, but he needs to be able and skillful enough to do it to the right and to the left, or maybe to pass the ball. So we want players able to have resources, to have the possibility to solve problems using different solutions. This is also trainable. This is trainable, yes or yes. And we want to entertain. This is the last thing that is related with our philosophy. What I mean with entertain, when the families, friends, parents of our players are coming to see our games and they need to pay $5 for a ticket, what I want to create on them is that after the game, they look each other and they say, I wouldn't mind to pay again $5 to see again the same game. So it's the same if you go to a theater, opera, or a cinema to watch a movie for the first time. And after the movie, you just look to your partner and you say, whoa, tomorrow let's come again. Let's pay again this amount, $10 or $20 for 2 tickets. Let's come again tomorrow to see the same movie. So this is what we want to create in our in the people that is looking at our games. In terms of methodology, and enter now more to be more specific in terms of football, I was asked to implement an idea of training and an idea of coaching that needed to be common to all age groups. We needed to identify immediately the weaknesses of the players. I don't know if weaknesses sounds too bad for you. If it sounds bad, for example, in Sweden, we cannot use this word, it's too aggressive. So if weakness doesn't sound that good for you, let's talk about working points, okay? So the coaches, in the very beginning, they need to identify the player working points or the player weaknesses, because we look at each player as an individual project. And this project, if it's 30% complete, we need to work for the project to be 100. And each player is different. Something that for me is key is in each training session, regardless the day, regardless the volume, regardless the intensity, you need to bring competition to the training. In all the exercises, you need to create a competitive environment in everything you do, from the simple rondo to the 11 against 11. So from the micro structure to the macro, from the micro to the macro structure, you need to have competition. You need to have the players focus. You need to give objectives to everyone, because it's important. It's important that they are competitive in any moments of the training. Of course, choice of exercises need to be related with the way we want to play. It doesn't make sense if it's in the other way around. It means that our exercises, they are based in situations and moments that we want to see applied on the big structure. And the coaches are responsible to help the players to solve problems. And this is something that we can discuss. That is methodology, that is the approach. What is to develop players in short term, or what is to develop players in a long term. I prefer and I use the guided discovery. What is for me guided discovery? Is to help the players to understand the game, to understand what we want, mainly through questions, instead of to have a direct style. A direct style will give you results in a short term, but will not help you to develop game understanding. Why? Because you are telling the players what to do instead of to teach the players how to solve problems. So how can you help the players to solve problems? By asking them questions, by showing them solutions. So I use guided discovery. Guided discovery is to ask the players the best option in each situation of the game and of the training. Of course, that the questions are always based in our principles and our style. To play this specific football, of course, we need specific players and special players for this style. So which kind of players are we looking for? Intelligent players. And what I mean with intelligent, I'm thinking now, it's related with decision making. And decision making for me is how you solve problems in the shortest time possible without losing the ball. So for me, this is quality of decision making. To don't lose the ball more than to be intelligent, of course, you need to be skillful. And we need players that are able to play for the first team. What I mean with this, personality, character, probably also some physical capacities, but mainly character and personality. They need to want a lot to be professional players. It's not enough to be good in decision making. It's not good enough to be skillful. We need to combine these two first things with personality, with character, and want a lot. The willingness to become a football player, a professional football player.
Edgar, before you go further, Andre Mota asked a question that I think if we don't answer now, maybe it loses the purpose.
Let's go.
He was asking about in the individual project of a player, because you spoke about working on the weaknesses, on the points of improvement. He asked, okay, so what about the strengths of the player? Do you still also work on them? Like the things that make that player different from others? How do you look at that situation?
Okay, so when I ask the players, let me go back very quickly. It's here, identify players' weaknesses, yeah. We have a grid where we register not only working points, but also strength, of course. So we are always aware of the strength of the players, and about this I will touch this deeper in a few minutes. But yes, of course, that strengths are also important, and the players are aware of their own process, and they know what we think about them, not only in terms of working points, but also about their strength. Okay, why is important to mention and to talk about strength? Because if we don't have a common vision, coach player, if we don't give attention, if we don't talk about the strength, maybe this strength in one moment can become something average, and this we cannot accept. Okay, but yes, I'm going to touch deeper a little bit further on the presentation. Okay, Bruno?
Yes, I have one Marcar here. He would like to say something. Is it okay for you?
Sure.
So go ahead. Let me unmute. Can you unmute yourself? If you cannot, just here we are. Go ahead, we can hear you.
Okay. First of all, thank you for your cooperation. And I have just a short question about, I have been a long time, many times in the Spire Academy. So we know the facility there, special the field. So when we are talking about the kids until 16, 17 even, the field is very important. For example, just I want to let you know, guys, last week we have the International Cup game in San Bernardino complex. So field was terrible. How can improve and develop the players, kids, this kind of the fields? Just want to let you know to think about this and maybe change some games to better field, or even the turf field is much better for the kids. for the development and to improve them, you know. That's only my question and my suggestion to you guys.
Thank you very much for your feedback. Obviously, the quality of the fields is very important for the development, but also the adversities that the kids face are also important. I can give you the example that in Portugal we have clubs that are looking for fields that are not very good, exactly to create the conditions for the kids to have difficulties. But thank you very much for your feedback, and we'll take that in consideration. And Edgar, go ahead.
Thank you, Bruno. So going back to the player profile, I think I was clear with these 3 ideas, and I wanted to give an example to shock, not to shock, but to share with you exactly what I was thinking. So in terms of talent identification, I created the 30 centimeters rule. Okay, what I mean with this, that for me, what is really important is this 20 that you see on the picture, together with this 10. So what goes between this 10 and this 20, for me is not important. Can be 1 meter and 20, and the boy or the player will be 1.5 meters, or it can be 1.5 meters, and together with this 30 will be 180. So for me, I think it's clear that for me, physical capacities are not the most important when I'm scouting or selecting players to our academy. Of course, and because we are Shakhtar, we have access to big number of good players. And if we have similar profiles for the same position, and I cannot sign everyone because I don't like to have 30, 35 players in each generation. Of course, if I need to choose between 2 players, I will analyze how quick he is, how strong he is, and the injury history. So these 3 things are important for me, but are not priority. For the style, for the philosophy that we want to see and to apply and to develop in our academy, physical capacities are not a priority. I'm not saying it's not important, I'm saying they are not a priority. So we talk about the general ideas in terms of methodology. We talk about which players could help us to reach better these ideas. And then let's go deep. Which kind of exercises I use the most to develop this? So we have a lot of 1-against-1s. We do a lot of possessions. Possessions not only with the idea to keep or to don't lose the ball, but to go from point A to point B. Because what we want, and as I said before, is to bring the game to the training. So by going from the point A to the point B in a normal possession, even in a rondo, you are telling your players indirectly that you want to go from your box to opponent box, because the main objective of football is to score goals. So even in possessions, the objectives that we put in the exercise is to go from point A to point B, because this is exactly what we want to see applied on the big game. Small-sided games, applied games. What I mean with an applied game is when we look to the big structure, to the big game, and we cut situations from the game that we want to see on the big game, and we bring this specific situation to our training, and in a short period we try to repeat it the maximum number of times possible. So how we solve problems in wide areas to create superiority can be something like this. So we design one exercise, how to create superiority in wide areas. We create an exercise, and in 15 minutes I want to do 100 repetition. So this is for me an applied game, is when I repeat the same behavior a lot of times in a short time. And of course, game. I have now a video where shows exactly what I have been saying. So a lot of 1-against-1. and the way we finish. I like this. Here a nutmeg. I force the players to do these kind of things. And then when we move to big structure, because if we don't do 1 against 1 in simple situations, you will not be able to do it with success in this situation. This is the same player again. 1 against 4, and 1 more, 5. And the unpredictability that I mentioned before. See this guy with the number 12? He will appear a lot of times in the video. So what we want, and this boy is capable to do it, I want to create in this blue player confusion. This guy doesn't know if this player, even being a right-footed, if he's going to the right side inside, if he goes to the left, or if he's going to pass to someone that will appear. In this case, he goes left, he comes back, and he goes again. But you will see different. Some moments that I call it magic. Memorize, please, this moment, because we do this in training and we will score a goal exactly the same, with the same gesture. Bicycles. The way this guy is passing, the back heel. See how this guy solved this situation again, pass behind the foot, and the way he finish by chipping the ball. This will finish with Rabona. We need this. Look, exactly what I mentioned. We do this in 1 against 1, and we are able to do in game. Against Dynamo Kiev. Bicycle in training, bicycle in game. And this collective creativity, collective magic. The possessions, remember what I mentioned just a couple of minutes ago, to go from point A to point B. Not losing the ball, but with any intention. And the intention is this, is to score goal, is to go to the other side.
Edgar,
Let's go.
thank you for saying that. Hugo Enciso, and hello, Hugo. Just asked a question that I don't know if you just answered it or no, because he was asking that in another clubs, people do possessions, and those possessions end up being keeping the ball for no reason, without any intention, and keeping the ball for the sake of keeping the ball. And he was asking, how do you do so that there is a clear intention in the possession, and that keeping the ball is a means to an end and is not the end itself? I think it was clear on the task, but Hugo, if you still have doubts about this, please let us know. And Edgar, maybe you can share a bit more on that.
Yeah, thanks for your thoughts. But yes, exactly like I said, I don't want to have the ball just to have the ball, because like this, my game is boring, and I don't want to have a boring game. I don't want to win 1-0 and to have 85% possession. So pretty much my ideas are these two: to don't lose the ball and to score goals. Of course, to don't lose the ball, you need to value the risks. So you don't go in crazy runs, in numerical inferiority. So we have a game where wherever the ball is, we have a lot of passing lines around the ball, which goes against the rules of football. Not against, but what I want to say is that usually we say that if you have the ball, you have full width and full depth. In our game, we don't have full width and we don't have full depth. What we have is that the ball or the team travels together with the ball from our field to the other side. And usually what we ask our players is that in the moment we recover the ball, full depth and full width. If my team has the ball on the right flank, for example, my left winger is not on the line in the other side, it's almost in the middle. Because I believe that we have more chances to arrive to opponent's box with a lot of players around the ball, creating a lot of passing lines. You need to have very special profile of players to do this, to don't lose the ball. But it's a matter of belief, or you believe or you don't believe. And then you believe and you need to have the players, of course. So I don't believe in full width and full depth. I believe in a team traveling together without losing the ball, having a lot of solutions to pass. Going a little bit back, Bruno, and the idea of the possession and taking in account the last comment question, here we can see clearly the intention not to have the ball on the same place a lot of time, but when you have the chance, we go from up to down, let's say. So the ball arrives here, we want to go immediately to the other side. The ball arrives here, and without losing the ball arrives here. What this guy is doing? And this is the transfer to the game. Center backs, everyone under pressure, they feel comfortable to have the ball. Look this situation. Look how many players. We are not in superiority. We have a 4 against 4 situation. And how comfortable our players feel to solve this problem. Almost inside our box. And we find here a space. Okay, let's go. And we do this a lot. And look the amount of passing lines that you have around the ball. Let's see 2 or 3 more examples, then let's go forward. Going from point A to point B. Don't go back if you don't need to come back. This goal is very interesting against Dynamo Kiev.
And it's always good to show goals against Dynamo Kiev.
Yes. They mean more. They have a different meaning for us. And we don't have the temptation just to put the ball inside the box. We put it with criteria. See that the boys, they don't go immediately for crosses. They are patient. This is not a cross. This is a switching game.
And the cross
same
ends
boy
up being a pass. Sorry to
no
it's
problem. Is a pass. The same boy, look, the same 11. This guy doesn't know if he's right, if he's left, is a pass. He will do everything here. He will do right, he will do left, and he will pass also. Look, this player is unbelievable. Under 15. And how we solve set pieces, for example, from a corner, we put one player in front of the goal. From a corner, without crossing. So let's move forward. Let's touch a little bit. I don't want to go very deep in microcycle, because from the physical point of view, I have some knowledge, but I'm not a specialist. Okay. Why I mention physical? Because our microcycle or the physical approach helps me to design the microcycle. Okay. It's not related to what I said before, that I don't give too much importance to physical capacities, but during the week we need to touch everything from endurance, speed, coordination, power. I am Portuguese. Tactical periodization is Portuguese approach. I don't use tactical periodization. From the tactical periodization, I take only the physical approach, okay? Not the football concept, but the physical ideas of tactical periodization. So basically, in terms of intensity, this is our typical microcycle. If we play 1 game per week on Saturday, so the intensity grows during the week, we reach the peak on Wednesday and starts to decrease a little bit until Friday, to be able and fresh on Saturday to perform at high level. In terms of space of the exercise, here, yes, I can spend a little bit more time. We train every day with all the age groups. I don't know if this is strange for you or not, that even under 12, 13, they are training 5 times per week. The idea is that I prefer to bring the boys to the field, even if the volume or the intensity are low. I don't care about recovery, okay? We do active recovery on Monday if we play on Saturday. Players that play more time, they have a little bit more attention on Monday. They are asked a few questions to understand how they are feeling, and we can create different inside the same training, 2 different groups according with the level of fatigue, just to prevent injuries, and to have the players on Tuesday, on the second day of the week, pretty much in the same level. So in terms of space, on Monday, as we mentioned before, intensity is medium low. The spaces are also small to medium. Then on Tuesday is the shortest session of the week, is the day that we work on power, a lot of accelerations, decelerations, change of direction, change of speed, a lot of 1 against 1s in short space. Just 1 against 1, you have space, finish, after finishing, chase one player that is about also to finish. So, and then in terms of rest, what we do is 1 to 3 or 1 to 4. So if you have an action of 5 seconds, then you rest 15 to 20 seconds. Transitions between exercises very quick, and the explanation of the exercises and the information, I ask the coaches to do it beforehand. So before the training, to help or to maximize the time of training. We don't train more than 60 minutes on Tuesday, not including warm-up, okay? But from football, 60 minutes, but high intensity, high rhythm. Then Wednesday and Thursday, we work in medium, big spaces. We go for macro structures, more close to the real game. In these 2 days is the days that we want to cover distance, big distance, 7 to 9, 7, 8 kilometers, mainly on Wednesday in zones 4 and 5, at least 1.5 to 2K. Then on Friday, what I like to do on Friday, I like to do warm-up and game in half pitch. And during the game, I use the game to train set pieces. I don't like to do set pieces isolated from the train. So to dedicate 15, 20 minutes, let's do some offensive corners, some defensive corners, the same for the free kicks. So what I do usually on Friday is warm up, and then 3 moments of 8 to 10 minutes of game. And during the game we stop, and sometimes I needed to invent a corner. Okay, stop, let's make corner on that side. This team is defending. Option 1 for corner, option 2 for corner. Opponent is doing like this, they defend like this, they attack like this. We can react in this way according the way they are attacking. So we use the game. We use these 3 moments of 8 to 10 minutes to train our offensive and defensive set pieces. Then on Saturday, the game. In terms of volume, what you can see here is that we have a short session on Monday. Then Tuesday, as I told you, 60 minutes. Wednesday and Thursday, we spend more than an hour and a half, from 1 hour and a half to 2 hours on the field for football. And of course, that the time decreases a lot on Friday because it's the day before the game. And when we play away, we have big, huge trips. Again, I mentioned when I started, but this is an example of microcycle when we play 1 game per week on Saturday. A little bit of our principles. Okay, more than a game model, I work a lot with principles, with behaviors, what I want to see individually, collectively, in attack and defending. I put this in this grid. I divided in 4 different areas. So I call it structure. The structure is related with the positions of the players, with the distance between the players, with the width and depth that we give to our game. Then the progression idea. The progression idea is related to what I mentioned before, that I don't want to have the ball just to have it. I want to have the ball with the intention to arrive to the other side and to score goals. So everything that is behind this progression idea, what helped me to progress through the field without losing. So things like looking far, good body shape, checking before receiving the ball, attacking the free space with the ball, and the continuity. Continuity for me is the action of my players after they're making a pass. So the players, they need to be always connected with the game. Even if the ball is 50 meters away, they need to know what to do. They need to be active. They need to provide something to the ball holder and to the closest teammates. And also, if you have the ball and you make a pass, it's normal, it happens a lot that with young players, after you make a pass, you disconnect, you stop. And we want our players, after making the pass, to create immediately a new passing line. Then related with decisions with the ball. So I will give a clear example, but we look at our players based in choosing the most offensive option available and the change of rhythms. So going to the first one, choosing the most offensive option available, the clear example when the ball goes from the goalkeeper to the right center back, from right center back goes to right fullback, and then you go one by one using your back 4 or back 5 to arrive to the left, to your left back. Usually what I tell my players is when the ball comes from right back to the right center back, I ask the right center back, can you play directly with the fullback without coming first to the left center back? So look far and choose the most offensive option available. Another clear example is when you have 2 center backs and this one receives the ball and he passes to the fullback. My question is, instead of to use the fullback, can you use immediately the winger? Can you use immediately the insider? So this is very important in our game. Don't take too much risks. Don't go in inferiority, but try to choose the most offensive option available. And then we finish with the moment when you don't have the ball. Usually everyone divides the game in 4 or 5 moments. So possession, attacking, defending, both transitions and set pieces. I don't like the expression when we say defensive transition, because if you pay attention to the words defensive transition, it implies, or the players can think or can feel that when you lose the ball, you go back. Defensive transition. So I prefer to use something a little bit different, to use different words for the players to have a different understanding. So instead of defensive transition, in Shakhtar, we call it recovering the ball. So when you say recover the ball instead of defensive transition, the players understand that they need to jump immediately. So we have something that for me is not so usual in most of the teams, that when you lose the ball, instead of to drop, we do exactly the opposite. We lose the ball, we give a step forward in direction to the ball. Of course, that our back 4, they need to be aware of possible long balls. But everyone moves in direction to the ball, also the back 4, but the back 4, if they feel that the opponent is about to kick the ball, they need to have a proper body shape, they need to stop with timing, and they need to drop together. So This is one behavior that is very important for us, is lose the ball, press, lose the ball, give a step. And then to be compact, of course, the body shape that I mentioned about the back four, the awareness. With awareness, I mean that we need to know where are the opponents. We don't do man marking, but around the ball, we press the most dangerous passing lines, not doing man marking, but to move very close to the opponent, just to prevent that if they receive the ball, they have the time to turn. No, we press immediately. And then the references is regardless the position of the ball, the focus of all the players. You need to be aware the position of your teammates, the position of the opponents, the position of the ball, the position of your goalkeeper, the position of your goal. And why you see three colors? And now we go to the individual development. You see three colors because the coaches, they need to evaluate all the players and their own teams in these three different levels. So red means that they need to improve. They are the working points. Yellow, it's average, and green are the strength. So now, yes, we are talking about strength, and this needs to be shared with the players. Players need to know exactly in what they are good, in what they need to improve. Now you ask me, for example, and if one player has 4 or 5 reds, of course that you cannot focus every day in 4 or 5 different principles. So you need to go for the priorities. Okay? You need to decide according with the quality, capacity, age, position of each player, which are the priorities to develop from the red group. And this picture shows exactly how we work. We sit individually with everyone in Shakhtar. We have individual meetings. We decide what we are going to work based in the working points. Then we move to the field. And the players, they need to be aware that coaches are focused in their 2 or 3 coaching points or working points or weaknesses. And what we do, if it's clear, for example, let's imagine that Bruno is a player. It's a midfielder, number 6, a holding midfielder. And he has as a working point your body shape. When the ball is with the center backs, you are always facing the center back. So when I pass the ball to you, Bruno, you don't take information from the back. So what you do, because you are afraid to lose the ball, you pass the ball back.
Yeah, to the center backs or the goalkeeper.
Or to the goalkeeper. So let's do something between me and you, Bruno. So you are number 6, you are a holding midfielder. What do you think about your body shape?
I like my body shape.
You want to see the video that I have here from you?
Yes, let's go.
Okay. So I'm showing a video to Bruno, and Bruno will see that his body shape is not good because he's always facing the ball. So Bruno, looking to your body shape, what do you think you need to change in order to have a progression idea?
Yeah, there was 2 or 3 times in this video that I had space to turn and go forward, but I didn't know.
So what you need to know, what you need to do to make sure that you know what is on your back.
Yeah, because it's hard for me to look over my shoulder to see what's behind me. Maybe if I open my body a little bit, I don't need to turn my head because I can see more things.
This is exactly the kind of conversations that we do with all of our players, because in this case, Bruno talk about himself and talk in first person about him, about his qualities, about his working points. So Bruno, in this moment, is part of his development project. And it's very important that the coaches don't decide by themselves what the player needs to improve. It's very important that coaches share with the players what they think about them, to have a common vision and a common way for the progress. So Bruno, now that you know that you need to improve your body shape, we go to the training. And after training, not every day, because we don't have time to do this every day, but when Bruno is not expecting, let's go, today is Wednesday. I will call Bruno. Bruno, come here, please. What is your working point?
Is to improve my body shape.
Okay, how do you feel you were today in this? From 1 to 5.
I did only
to-
sometimes.
So 1 to 5.
1 to 5, I did maybe 3.
I agree with you. You are a 3. So what we want to do with this kind of approach is that the player knows that coach will be paying attention to his principles, to what he needs to develop. And like this, Bruno will pay attention to his working points or to his weaknesses. With the time, today is Wednesday, and then Friday, Bruno, and today, huh? How it was?
Today I was a 5 for sure.
So this is exactly what we want. And when the players became 4 on 5, they move from red to yellow and from yellow to green. So it's done. But Bruno, you don't have only one working point. You have 5. So we go again to this grid and we see the next priority for Bruno. Okay, and this is our way of working. What we want at the end of the day, through the guided discovery, by developing game understanding, what we want? Autonomous players. Okay, and I have a video that demonstrates more or less how we do it. Some questions just to bring the player down.
Yeah. We don't have sound, but I think the subtitles are good enough.
Okay, bro. What are your strengths and weaknesses? The difficulties that the player feels. Going a little bit deep in the question, what is exactly your difficulty? This is very important. How can the coach help you? Okay, this is not so important. And then we create this this file where we register what we talk with the player. Changing a little bit the topic, Bruno, I don't know if about this there is some question, if I can keep
yes,
going.
there is, but I'm not sure if we are going to address them earlier or later. I mean, let me see. Hugo was asking about managing the psychological part. He was giving the example of playing out of the back that requires confidence and not to be too worried about making the mistakes, and that a lot of kids struggle with this.
No doubts, no doubts.
Yeah.
What
so
we have,
yes, how do you do it?
Yeah, trying, doing mistakes, keep doing mistakes, keep doing mistakes, receiving information, receiving confidence until you arrive to the moment that you do it. So very important to receive from your coach. It's very important to receive from the coach the confidence enough to make mistakes. If we feel as coaches that they are trying to do the things exactly like we want. So very important to receive positive feedback, information, instruction, confidence. Until you arrive you will do it. You will do it.
And To add to that one, I have been seeing some things here since I arrived in the US that I see a lot of coaches asking the players to build out from the back, but then the picture on the field doesn't show that that would be the best way to solve the problem right now. For example, if the opponent has 10 players in my half and there's no space for me to play out of the back, asking those players to play out of the back when the best solution is to look for the depth, then if we force them to go into a situation when it's impossible to have success, obviously their confidence is going to go down. But at the same time, if, especially in training, we create the conditions when playing out of the back is the best solution, most likely they are going to improve on that. Andre Mota, or Mota, I'm not sure if I'm saying his last name properly, asked how do you work on that weaknesses and how regular, and if only the premium players are being worked on. Well, you told us already that within the 150 players, all of them are projects, and if they are in Shakhtar is because you guys believe that one day they will arrive to the first team, knowing that it's impossible for everyone to arrive, but you work with all players the same because all of them are projects. Obviously,
Yes.
not everyone in the same day, but you work with everyone individually.
Okay, but I have a little bit more information to share regarding this last question. So,
okay,
what
wait,
we have seen.
Wait.
Okay.
Just so that I don't forget these questions. He said, he asked if you have an app to get feedback from the players after each session about their fitness, because he told us in the microcycle on the Monday, maybe some players will work a little bit more, others a little bit less based on that, if you work in an app. And he asked also about role models, if the video is based on actions when they don't do it right or when they have success too. So if you also show the good things or if you only show the bad things, if it's a proper way to judge.
Yeah, this is the last moment of the presentation, is to show how is a day in our academy. So you will see what we do and how we work from the staff point of view. But yes, when we build some videos and we bring information to the players, we always have these two moments. What are you doing not so good, and how we want you to do it. So yes, we also have videos from good moments. First question, Bruno. How we do this? So we speak with all the players in the beginning of the season, and usually we do it 3 times during the season. So every 3 months we have an individual talk. Okay. Anyway, more than an individual talk with the players during these 3 months, we have always 2 or 3 principles where we are going to be more focused. So I can call you once a week how you were today in your working point, or I can call you twice a week. The players never know when we are going to call them. So again, unpredictability. But pretty much, yeah, every 3 months we speak with everyone. So 3 times a season.
Yeah. Well, then they asked about an app to get feedback on fitness.
You need to help me because I don't know what that means.
I think well, because from what I understand of the question, imagine that the kid is more fatigued or has more fatigue on a Monday, and another one is not so tired from the previous match. How does this information arrives to the coaches?
Yeah, I don't know exactly. I don't know if it's Borg scale or RPE.
RPE, yeah, most likely.
Yeah. Yes, we have an application. All the boys they download an application on their mobiles, and in the morning they answer the 4 questions. So how they feel in terms of fatigue, muscle soreness, quality of sleep, and humor, how they are feeling. And then SNC from each generation receives all of this information. They put it all together and they come to the coach, and the coach then takes the decision to create 2 different groups on the training. Usually they warm up all together, they do the first exercise together, and then when they move to the next one, there are a group usually with players that play more time, 48 hours before. They do something different, or they just finish training, or they do some stretching, or they do some football, tennis, but they are not doing exactly what the other ones are doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, we ask the players how they feel using these 4 questions, as we were doing in Aspire.
Yeah, I understand this. Nuno Alexandre is asking if this is a custom app for the club, or is it available on the Play Store?
Soccer Lab.
Soccer Lab.
The famous Soccer Lab. Yeah, Soccer Lab, you can customize, is an application that you can customize to your club to do whatever you want. Whatever idea you have for your academy, for your players, you can ask Soccer Lab, they will do it and you pay. Okay, so you have the basic version, and then you have your add-ons based in what you want from to your academy. So this is something that we asked Soccer Lab to create for us, was this application where the boys individually and every day can answer these 4 questions. And after answering, they submit, and the SNC automatically receives the information. So it's Soccer Lab.
I think you can continue.
It's not my best friend.
Yeah, this is the kind of things that they are amazing to have. This kind of apps, for example, they are amazing to have, but for me, they are amazing to have when everything else is already happening. Sometimes, sometimes we are focused on the technology, and the technology is masking weaknesses or weak points everywhere. Anyways, please continue.
Thank you. We have 2 more areas that I would like to touch and to share. First is this one. I wouldn't say that there was some resistance from my side when I arrived to Shakhtar, but there was someone in the club that immediately approached me, asking to do evaluation of the players. My reaction was first to understand exactly what he was talking about. It's a guy that when Shakhtar is traveling for international games, Champions League or Europa League, he's always traveling with the team, and is asking our opponent, when we play away, is asking our opponents if he can visit their academies. So he has been Manchester City, Real Madrid, Benfica, Dinamo Zagreb, and he's collecting a lot of information from different clubs, how they evaluate players, and he creates something for Shakhtar, something that he call it the High 100. There is a department that is Shakhtar Lab. I'm not part of Shakhtar Lab, but they created this High 100 to evaluate players. And we evaluate players in 4 different areas. So technique, physiology, psychology, and tactically. And the weight of each area is 25. So if you sum 4 times 24, you will have this 100. So this is the perfection. The player is 100%. So what we do inside technique, we have all of these different things to evaluate. Okay, then the player is very good, is average, or he needs to work. Physiology, speed, 10 meters, 30 meters, jump, endurance, coordination. Psychology, cognitive reaction. And for psychology, we use mainly also applications, mobile applications, and one test. The name is Vienna test. We have 2 or 3 screens. You have a keyboard with colors to make some games for reaction, peripheral view. and then they collect all the information, and we rank the players from 0 to 100. If we pay attention now to the left side, this is pretty much what we evaluate from physical, technical, tactical, and cognitive. Let's look to the right side, please. Let's look to this player. His name is Smetan. He's a midfielder. He's 15.1 years old. Okay, biological age is 16.8, so it's early mature. And about his evaluation, we decided that if the perfection is 100, we cannot expect a boy with 15 years old to rank 100. So we have a scale. So 100 is for a professional team. 100 is Messi, or Cristiano, or Neymar, or Mbappe, or Haaland. So the combination of these 5 players, the best of each 5 together, this is 100. Okay? So we decided that for an under 16 player, the maximum that he could rank would be, or the reference, not the maximum, the reference for under 16 is 70. And this boy ranks 60.5. Looking to all the numbers that we have from him, from different tests, we realize that he needs to improve in technique and he needs to improve on physical. Okay? And then we move. I should have started talking about these 3 letters. Bruno, do you know what is IDP?
Individual development player.
Plan.
Almost.
Plan. Very good. And IAP?
Also individual athlete plan.
No. So individual development plan, we evaluate the players, we gather all the information, and now what we do with the information? We need to move from the paper to the action. So IAP is individual action plan. So with all these numbers, what are we going to do? Because to have the numbers is just the beginning. Then we have this. We create from each player extra individual work during the week. So let's imagine that this is an example. This player needs to work in technique and in tactical. In terms of technique and based in these working points and this position, he needs to work in ball control and in passing. During 10 weeks, he will be working 21 hours in total. And these 21 hours will be divided in 2 moments of 20 minutes per week. So for example, in each microcycle, Tuesday and Thursday after training, he will stay 20 minutes more with a coach doing what? Or individual or group exercises in the field. Usually when we do group, we collect or we gather players from the same position with the same working points, and we deliver one exercise for 20 minutes to develop their needs. In terms of game understanding, instead of 21 hours per week, only 11, and instead of to work with the coach, you will work with the analyst of the team. So we will sit with the analyst 20 minutes per week to see mainly videos, okay, based in some game behaviors. Now, going to the previous question, Bruno, is this for everyone? No. We just have individual action plans for the elite players of the academy. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So the project that we create for each player exists and is applied in training for everyone. The extra work, so after training, it's only for the elite players. For 2 reasons. We don't have enough staff to do to everyone, and we don't have enough space also to do it with everyone. Okay? And I want to finish my intervention sharing with you how is an ordinary day, if I can say like this, or how is a normal day in Shakhtar from the staff point of view. So the staff arrives in the morning. and they go through the previous session. We film all the sessions, we upload it in our folder, and everyone has access to their team training. Okay, so the coaches arrive in the morning and they go through the video of the previous session. After that, we have a methodology meeting. It doesn't happen every day, usually twice a week, beginning of the week, to talk a little bit about what happened on the previous weekends, their feelings about the games, what was good, what was not so good. I share also what I have seen in first person, okay? And then when more close to the end of the week, also to talk about what the work that we develop during the week based in the message from the first meeting. When we finish methodology meeting is for all the staff, we are all together. And then each staff goes to their own area in our open space and they have a staff meeting. And in this staff meeting is one of the key moments of the day. Is where you need to go very deep in what you are going to do in the field, on the field. Why? Because if you can minimize the chaos of the organization, if you can be perfect in terms of organization, in terms of sharing tasks, in terms of sharing the time for each member of the staff. So if you minimize the chaos of the organization, you are more ready for the chaos of the training. Okay? So in this staff meeting, first the doctor mentions if everyone is okay to train, if someone is too tired, if someone is injured, if someone is just coming back from injury and he can do warm up first exercise, but then he needs to go out, or if someone with a broken, with a fracture on the finger that he can play, but he cannot have contact, for example. So he needs to work mainly in possessions outside. This kind of information needs to be discussed in the staff meeting, okay? How much time the goalkeeper coach has to work with the goalkeepers, how much time the SNC has for him for the warm-up and for something specific, how the head coach and the assistant coach dance together during the training. One is inside, one is outside, in what you are going to be focused. If the assistant coach is more in the details, in the timing, and the head coach for the general dynamic of training. So this needs to be discussed, needs to be perfect. And then you need to be ready to the chaos of the training, to things that you cannot expect, things that you were expecting in one way and goes exactly in the other way around, okay? But if you have a good staff meeting, you are ready to solve problems. Then we move to the field. We have a pre-session talk with our boys, where we talk about previous session, what was good, what we bring from previous session, what we are going to do on that session, exercises, rules of exercises, how the players feel, what is important in what the coaches are going to be focused, the training session itself. Then we close the session. So we cannot just finish the session and say goodbye, see you tomorrow to the players. No, we need to talk about what just happened immediately, when everything is fresh, about feelings, about emotions, about what we do, what we have done good and not so good. Then we have time for individual or group talks. I think it's important to mention that we have a full-time staff, so we have full day in the academy. We can do everything that I'm mentioning. And then the coaches make a reflection about what happened during the day, and then we repeat the cycle. The question now, do we do exactly by this order? No. We do everything that is here, but not necessarily in this order. Why? Because we have some teams that train in the morning and other teams that train in the afternoon. So for example, for the teams that train in the morning, the video from the training is available at lunchtime. So the coaches stay in the afternoon and they can look immediately to the morning session. They can have already the staff meeting to prepare next morning. Okay, so they do everything that is here in this slide, but not necessarily for the same order. And now I want to close by sharing one video that shows everything that I mentioned before. Okay, but in video is more clear. So coach is arriving. This is our open space. The famous application Soccer Lab. Looking through previous session. This is our analysts area. The methodology meeting that I mentioned with the coaches. I am sharing my vision, but not only me, I want also coaches to speak in first person, as you see here. Moving to training. This doesn't happen exactly like you see. The players, they walk to the field. But when they arrive to the field, this needs to happen. When they arrive to the field, everything is ready. This is mandatory. So the coach is setting up the field way before coach's arrival. The pre-training talk that I mentioned. Players also talking in first person, giving their vision, their understanding. We have an extra coach here. We don't have cameramans, we have analysts. Analysts, they need to know about football. And they are one more coach on the field. Live tracking in terms of physical capacities. Okay, some examples of exercises that we do. Familiar, Bruno?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And it should be, or should start to be familiar for some of the guys and
Okay.
ladies participating here.
Nice. See the decisions. Where is the space? And now see on the possession going from point A to B. Look, it's not passing just for passing. No, passing and breaking the lines. We want to score. We want goals. Not losing the ball, but scoring goals. Closing the session, talking, emotions, feelings, takeaways. After training, we have time for this. This is a goalkeeper coach speaking with 3 goalkeepers of under 15. Individual talks. The reflection that I mentioned. And okay, let's finish with some interesting moments. The idea of traveling together is clear here. Look the width of the players. Look, where is my winger? My winger is in the middle of the field. Building up from the back. We were winning 1-0 against Red Bull Leipzig. This is Champions League game, under 19. We believe that with a lot of passing lines, we can do this. And then we have the moment to go, we go. Look the width and the depth. We are all together. See the distance between 10 players. We believe in this. And we have good players. We need good players, of course, to do this. Look where is the winger. Is this blonde guy, number 19. Look where is the winger. And the goal from our under 12, the small ones. Look that they don't have the temptation to shoot immediately. They have criteria. Look. Okay, the day is finished. See you tomorrow. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Edgar. I have a few questions of my own, but first let me see if there's something else here. Vasco is asking, how do you approach individual training, and do you use it, if you use it, to improve players' weaknesses? Well, you spoke about it before, that what happens after the training sometimes with some players is something more individualized, but how do you do that, and in which moments of the training or the week do you go more individual with the players?
So if we talk about individual training, it's after the training. Every day, couple of players, we have average 5, 6, depending on the generation, 5, 6, 7 elite players per team. So we need to divide the time, the free time that we have for this, to cover all of these players. So usually after each training, we have always 2, 3 players doing some individual work for 20, 25 minutes. That can be in different areas. Can be technical, and we do it immediately after the training. Can be physical, and maybe SNC calls the player 15 minutes before the training and is doing something specific with him. Can be psychological, and he sits with the psychologist completely out of the training and school time, and with the analyst as well, if we are talking about game understanding or tactical. Okay.
I would say that otherwise you develop individually the players within a team context, and you use the team and the game to develop in the player in an individual kind of way.
And how you do it? By building individual projects for everyone.
Exactly.
By having the players or making the players part of their own project. So the players during the training, they know that the coaches are focused on their working points, and they will not let them lose their strengths.
Yeah.
So I can always guide an exercise doing questions, or focus on individual on the working points. Bruno, don't forget your body shape.
Yeah.
Andrea, you need to check before receiving the ball. You are not attacking the free space. So by saying these kind of things, you are telling the players how to develop their or to improving their working points.
So I think this was clear. If anyone else has any more questions, please use the Q&A or the chat for that. Questions from me as a leader of the youth department. How do you assess coaches? How do you let them know if they are doing a good job or a bad job? Obviously, through the methodology meetings and all of those meetings, they are having continuous education by being part of the academy. But how do you assess their development? And a complementary question would be, how do you decide, or what helps you to decide which coach should be with which age group?
Okay, I would say that the assessment is an everyday work. For example, we have the methodology meeting, and when the staffs are doing the staff meeting, sometimes I sit with them, I listen what they are saying. Sometimes I just interrupt and I make some questions. What is the dimension of this exercise, and why? And what are you going to be focused? And to be focused on this, in where do you think you need to position yourself? And if you position yourself here, where will be the assistant coach? And who will be controlling the time? So with these kind of questions, I have in mind the idea what would be the perfect coach. And each coach is missing, again, also the coaches, they are individual projects. So there are coaches that are better in one thing, in controlling the general dynamic, and other coaches are better in feedback, and other coaches are better in giving intensity and rhythm to the training. And what I try is that to give them what they are missing. So it's an everyday work. It's an assessment, but it's mainly everyday work. Today I like this. I think you can do this different. If tomorrow you do this, you can maybe anticipate this scenario by being there. You are too much focused on the ball and you don't see what is happening around the ball. These kind of things. So this is how I develop coaches. I don't assess. I try to develop coaches with a lot of information, with a lot of questions. And the second question, profiles. I go with profiles. It's easy to understand. And you mentioned something about me in the beginning. It's difficult to mix what you said, that is to go very quickly from very serious, direct, putting on the session high rhythms, to go very quickly to some jokes, some smiles. So I would say that with Ukrainian coaches, or you are one way or you are the other. And I would say that to work with young, I prefer the guys more better in communication, better in explanation, and then to work with older, the guys with more football knowledge. Okay, to give more tactical content to under 16, 17, 19. The other ones more for to create a good atmosphere. Of course, they need to have basic level of training and understanding, but I go with profiles. It's easy to understand.
Very clear and very different from many things that I see. Yeah? I agree with you. I'm very aligned, obviously, because of all the time we spend together and the places that we work together. It's very easy to be aligned in terms of philosophies. I was going to ask you, besides the language, which I'm sure is still a big barrier, how do you communicate with the coaches? How much help with the translation is needed, and what are the biggest barriers? Well, besides the obvious of all everything that is going on in the country, what are the biggest barriers that you see right now on the development of Shakhtar?
Yeah, I would say that is the number one moment that I struggle. I struggle a lot with communication, because I don't speak Ukrainian or Russian, because both languages are spoken in the country, and the level of English from Ukrainians is very, very low. So I have a translator 24/7. He's very good. He's really, really good. He's quick. He knows football, which is mandatory. You cannot just translate words. You need to understand what I'm talking about. The problem is that I share information that comes from me to the coaches, from me to the translator, from the translator to the coaches, and from the coaches to the players. So you can imagine that in this circle, the amount, not of words, the amount of emotions that you lose.
Yeah,
because I can be talking in English, then it translates in Ukrainian, but not with the same emotion. So, okay, I would say that in training, I'm pretty much ready to deliver a training session in the Ukrainian. Okay, I know keywords, I know numbers, I know colors, I know I cannot build huge sentences, but I know all the football words, which is enough for the players to be alert, for the to give rhythm and intensity to the training. So in this moment, I'm already able to deliver a training session by myself.
Not surprised. Was it easier, this process, than the first years in Qatar?
Qatar has an advantage that most of the players they understand English.
Yeah.
And the ones that are not so good, they have the basic football language. In Ukraine, even easy questions like how are you, how old are you, how do you feel, what is your name, they are in shock. They cannot answer. They cannot answer.
Very interesting. I'm very curious about what is going to happen in the future. Well, first, obviously, hoping that the war finishes and that everyone is safe and that life can go on. But very curious to see what is going to happen with football and what influence you are going to be having while you are there. Edgar, I wanted to say thank you. Thank you so much. There's no more questions right now. Thank you so much for participating, for your availability, taking time out of your day to share with us. Thank you for everyone that participated and for all the questions. There was one question here about what's the most professional way to voice your disagreement with referees, time and place, and to whom? Well, I would say, in our case, contact our referee program and try to be as polite as possible, because I'm sure they'll try to help. CalSouth will be doing these webinars often. We are trying to find people with the same value as Edgar. That is not easy. And this is it. We are trying to improve. We are trying to be better for our members, and my email inbox is open for anyone that wants to have help in these situations. Again, thank you very much, Edgar. Thank you for everyone that participated.
Yeah, thank you for the invitation. It was a pleasure, Bruno. I will be available for future collaborations if something is needed from my side, and I will attend now from the other side.
Yes, thank you. You were already on the previous one with Gonçalo.
Yeah,
let's see what happens next. There are some interesting things the pipeline to come. Again, thank you and see you. This will be available on YouTube soon. So go ahead.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. See you next time.
Bye.